So working at theme parks was something I didn't imagine. I also didn't imagine a couple of the dumb reasons I was going to lose my jobs at theme parks. Here's how I got started, and here's how it ended. So I'm going to go back quite a ways here on this one. When I was a stay-at-home dad, my kids were little, I really got involved in the roller coaster and theme park hobby industry. It was something that I picked up to give myself something to do while I was at home. This is back in the days of Usenet, dial-up modems, the good old handshake noise. Yeah, really date myself there. In any case, I had always loved theme parks and roller coasters and stuff before that, but I didn't even realize how in-depth of a hobby community it has. It's a pretty big one. But at the same time, I never saw myself working at a park. Money was an issue, distance was an issue. When I was growing up, the closest park was 2 hours away. When I was at college, I was too busy, and the beach boardwalk it was not something I saw myself doing. Then when we were in Southern California and Texas, again, too far. So it just wasn't something that happened. Now, when my kids were little, I did pick up a seasonal job for Christmas, for the Christmas season, at the Disney store at our local mall. I figured this was as close as I was ever going to get to actually working at Disney. And so, I mean, I enjoyed it. I was a cast member and had my name tag, and which I had to give back when I quit. That was kind of a bummer. It was a retail job. It wasn't Disney. Even though it was Disney, it was not the same. And the way that job ended was just dumb. So a lot of you identify with this. So I had a young manager. We knew that after I had been there for over a year, my seasonal job turned into a regular status one. So I was there for quite a while. Things had happened. We knew we were going to move to Florida. And so I had made arrangements about 2 months before we were going to move to take a 1-week trip down to Florida, find a place to live, look for jobs, and try to get us established so that way we had a place to move to. I had let them know at the store that, hey, I'm not going to be in state on these days. And lo and behold, I told them like a month or two before I was leaving. Lo and behold, it's almost time for me to go. I look at the schedule, and I'm on the schedule when I'm down in Florida. And I'm like, what are you doing? I'm not going to be here. We didn't give you permission to go. It was 2 days a week. I'm like, I didn't ask for permission. I told you I wasn't going to be here. Well, if you're not here, you're going to get written up for a no-call, no-show. I'm like, who's your supervisor so I can report you for being dumb? So, my trip to Florida actually ended up being my I'm quitting the Disney store. It was... Why do people do that? I don't get it. You're not going to solve anything. Would you rather have somebody part-time or not at all? Durr. Get off the power chips. Any case, there was my time at the Disney store. I guess my time at Disney is done. And, fine. But hey, I got to claim I was a Disney cast member. Actually, it was almost 2 years I was there. So we get down to Florida, and I get a job teaching full-time at an elementary school, the computer lab. I'm the tech guy. Anytime something goes wrong, I'm the one that they call. I can tell you those tech horror stories are true. I had a teacher break their cup holder on the computer. That was the CD-ROM drive. It was a drawer that popped out. They thought it was to hold their coffee cup. Had another one. But every few months he would give me a call. Hey, my printer's not working right. It's just printing blank white pages. Did you change the ink? Ink? The stuff I saw, from teachers, mind you. Yeah. So I did that for a couple of years at an inner city school, and it was a rough school. I was one of the teachers that worked the car rider pick up and drop off line. I had a couple parents that arrived late, did not want to check their kids in. I got cussed at. I got things thrown at me. I had two of them in 2 years, so different times. Actually tried to run me over because they didn't want to park the car and get out and bring their kid inside. Yeah, it was one of those kinds of schools. So it was stressful. There was always stuff going on. It's an elementary school. The stuff we had to deal with for elementary kids. But I needed stress relief. I desperately needed stress relief. We had annual passes to Busch Gardens, which was about a 20-30 minute drive, depending on traffic. We were up there a couple times a week after school, hopping on the coasters and screaming out our stress. Literally, letting it out of the coasters, just ah! And I needed something that was going to be fun, something to get out. And so I was like, you know what? We've got the vacations and summer. Let me see if I can't pick up a job at the park. It'll save money on our passes. Might get us a couple other perks. And I managed to work my way into a job on Rhino Rally. Went in and applied. Didn't expect anything to happen and got it, which was kind of cool. Found out later how easy it is to get a job at a theme park because they're usually short-staffed. But got the job I wanted. And it turned into something absolutely fun. I was lucky enough to get a job that was not just the same repeated things over and over and over again. So it wasn't like on a roller coaster where you're just checking restraints. I did actually work a couple roller coasters there, including Cheetah Chase, which is the mouse coaster. And yeah, very repetitious. I would have died of boredom probably. But happened to get Rhino Rally where it was much more interactive. It was much more us entertaining. That I could do. I could play a role. I could pretend to be somebody else. I did a lot of drama in college and stuff, so that was just totally right up my alley. Awesome. Picked that up and just had a ball. Had an absolute ball with it. Didn't see it going anywhere beyond just, hey, a day a week for weekends. So a lot of my Saturdays I worked, holidays, then summer and Christmas vacation. Those I picked up and I was working full time, and had a great time. But they were flexible because of that, and then after being there for a year and a half, it was approaching the end of the school year. I think it was March, April-ish, and the park decided to change their policies about part-time workers. At the time, we were allowed to do 1 day a week. Well, then they decided, nope, they had to have at least 2 days a week and 15 hours, I believe is what it was. While I was teaching, I was also helping out at a church. I couldn't do 2 days a week. Vacation stuff, sure, no problem. But school year, nope. And they basically gave us an ultimatum. As part-time workers, again, work your 2 days minimum, or you're going to be terminated, released. And again, I'm sitting here thinking, you're short-staffed in this park, and you're telling the people that are helping fill these gaps, you know what? It's not enough. We would rather not have you at all than 1 day a week. When you need them. You don't want the 1 day a week. You'd rather have nothing, which leaves you even further short-staffed. Like, who's making these decisions? It boggles my mind, and I've run into this repeatedly. I've had 4 times in my life that I have lost a job I was working part-time because I was only available a limited amount of time. They loved me, loved the job, had a blast, and then they decided, you know what, you have to do more. I'm not going to do more. Well, then you're going to be out of a job. So you don't think I'm doing a good enough job? No, you're doing a great job. You're doing fantastic. We love you. But you don't want me to keep working for you. Well, you're going to have to do a minimum. Okay, so you don't want me working because I can't do what you're calling a minimum. Yeah. 2 theme park jobs I lost for that reason. Disney store I lost for that reason. I had another job. It's like, it makes no sense. You can be a great worker, but you know what? You've got to devote your life to us. Sorry, I have a life besides you. Yeah, that's why I ended up leaving Busch Gardens. And it turned out that we moved just a couple months later over towards Orlando, just west of Orlando. And I got the job at Disney World after that. But yeah, again, it was losing a job because I wasn't working enough for them, but they loved what I was doing. Okay. Yeah, so then I picked up the job at Disney World. Disney World, the reason I lost my job there, when we moved up to Missouri, I had actually statused myself at that point as what's called a seasonal worker. And basically that means that you come in a couple times a year for a couple weeks. I think you had to work like 30 hours every 6 months or something like that. And so that's why I got to keep my costumes when I moved to Missouri, because I was technically still an employee, still a cast member. And then the way things worked out up in Missouri, I was not able to get down for the week or two here and there to get some hours. When I did have an opportunity to come down and I was looking on the portal, there were absolutely no shifts available, which meant it would have been a waste of a trip. So after a year of not having shifts available when I could actually go down, they sent me the nice little letter saying, sorry, you've been termed. You know, which it was too bad, but at the same time, I kind of saw it coming. And oh, one more for the books. Silver Dollar City actually ended up being the other not available enough. I was working full time for them, and I had an opportunity as Christmas was approaching to start subbing in our local school district, substitute teaching, and make more money. I was pastoring a church. I wanted to be more involved in the community and do more, so the substitute teaching was perfect. And hours got cut back at Silver Dollar City for Christmas. So instead of working 5 days a week, well, we were closed 3 of those days. And then the others, it was coming in the evening. And so, or afternoon. So I asked the onboard conductor, there's 2 of them came in. One came in at 2, one came in at 4. I said, can I bump my hours to part-time on the weekdays, make me the 4 o'clock guy, so I can get over here after school, and I can do the weekends? Nope, you're full-time. You're losing me for 2 hours, 2 days a week when somebody else can cover it. You can't do this? Nope, you're full-time. You're going to be that one. What do you mean? You won't flex with me? I've been doing this 3 years. I got all these rave reviews and everything else. And nope, you're full-time. Okay, well, here's the deal. If I'm going to end up resigning because I'm going to make more money doing this other thing and doing more of what I want to do. So they wouldn't bump me to part-time. So basically what it came down to was I had a choice of I could work Silver Dollar City and not substitute teach, which was 5 minutes down the road from my home. Or I could substitute teach and Silver Dollar City was going to make me quit. So, well, guys, here's the deal. You like me? You flex. If you don't, there's my 2 weeks. And the HR director just kind of looked at me and says, well, you're full-time. That was the only thing she could come up to say. And it was like, come on. So that was my 2-week notice. I said, if you change your minds, let me know. And then they ended up short-staffed for Christmas. I visited at Christmas. They were like, why aren't you out here? Because HR's dumb. Basically what it was. I do not understand that whole mindset. But that's why I lost my jobs at the theme parks, why I moved on, and why I quit, as well as how I got started. So what do you think? I'd love to hear your feedback, your comments. Maybe you can explain why they would rather lose employees than keep them for a few hours less a week. Like I said, I don't understand that. But, hey, we'll be short-staffed and not have enough people to work the park instead of keeping people who will work for us. I just don't get it. But it's cost me my job a few times. But I'd love to hear your feedback. Please share it in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Thank you so incredibly much for watching. God bless.
what's that button?
That button will show you another one of our videos.
And that one?
That one will help you subscribe if you haven't already.
Oh, and then there's all these names floating by?
Yeah, this is all of our supporters on Patreon and YouTube members.
Oh, so those are the ones that get the special perks.
Yeah, and if you want to know more about that, click on that button right there.
Thanks.
No, thank you.
And thanks for watching.
God bless.